There you can see in the distance over at the Candy Cane Hill parking area, that is where we are transplanting our Douglas. Climbing the Candy Cane Hill towards where we're planting today. So we have arrived where our truck with the Douglas fir is parked, and we're out here scouting the field already, right, Andrea?
That's correct.
So we see where guests have come in and harvested a tree, certainly in quite a prior year. Mm-hmm. And then this is this year?
Correct.
And then we have spot marked next to it where we want to have the next hole dug.
Correct. So this is a nice little history of our tree fields here. Sure. We let these stumps degrade. It recycles nutrients back into the soil, maintaining a healthy soil profile. So we try to be consistent with our marks, keeping our trees in a nice line.
Okay.
We don't want to, we try to take out any woody matter, woody biomass, and any rocks, because that will ultimately take moisture, water away from what will be the root structure of the tree once I plant the tree.
Gotcha.
So you don't want anything to compete with the tree roots. We try to disrupt the soil as little as possible. This is nice, easy soil to dig and to work with. I'm only gonna make a small hole at first until I see the tree and assess the root system. Right. To see if I need to adjust it at all.
So a little thing about, it's a sunny day, so you got your hat on, you got some sunglasses, you're doing the work here, with dirt, and so that's why you're wearing the gloves to protect your hands.
Personal protective equipment. I don't want soil to get into my eyes. Yep. These keeps my hands clean, and whatever microbes are on the roots will stay on my gloves and not on my skin.
Terrific. Yeah. Now, I'm just realizing we hand dig every hole for every tree? Are you kidding me?
Yes, this just gives you some insight into
wait a minute.
What you get when you get a Jones Christmas tree.
Why can't you just come in here with a tractor that's got an auger on the back, lickety split, dig a hole, move on? Why are you doing it by hand?
That's a great question, Tom. One that I am excited to answer. There's several reasons. One is for the health of our tree blocks. Tractors are heavy. Bringing them into the field would compact the soil. Yep. Using a machine to dig the soil can also compact the soil. We don't want our soil to be super compact. We like this loose soil that provides room for air and water. Right. Also, it's a little bit safer for our workers to not have to use machinery, but it allows us to dig custom holes for each root structure. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. Right. And
it saves on a gym membership.
That's right. It keeps us farmers in shape, that's for sure.
Terrific.
Yeah.
All right, so you've dug the hole a little bit here, and there's a lot of pine needles around here, as well as some other ground cover that we plant with grasses to help suppress weeds. But there's a lot of needles around here. So what do we do with that?
So as I mentioned earlier, Tom, we don't want anything to compete with the roots once we get the tree in here. So what I do is I simply brush the needle litter off to the side to create a nice zone where I can dump the soil, okay? And that way, when I fill it in, I won't be picking any of these needles up. These are actually fir needles from the Douglas firs that were growing here
previously.
Previously, correct. They're important to have because, as you said, they do suppress weeds. They also, this litter layer maintains soil moisture. Right. So it is an important thing. We just don't want it
But you don't want to put it inside the soil, so that's why you clear out a spot, put the soil in there.
Correct.
Okay.
Here we have our tree seedling. This is a beautiful Douglas fir that was just pulled from our nursery, our mailbox nursery. In looking at the root structure, you can see a nice taproot established here. This, when planting, one of the most critical parts of planting is assessing the proper depth at which to plant the tree. How we assess that, if you can see here, there's a change in color. You have this almost green, brown stem. And then it kind of transitions into an orange color when the roots begin.
Right.
This orange color indicates where in the nursery the tree was underground. And we want to emulate that when we plant it in our tree fields. So that zone of color transition tells us exactly how deep to plant the tree. We want this to be underground and this to be overground. Okay? So that's one of the first things you assess when planting a tree. The other two things that are critical when tree planting is tightness and straightness. It's kind of a silly acronym, but they use the acronym STD, straight, tight, and depth. Okay? So here, if I were to just jam this in, you can see it's nice. The roots aren't cramped, but they are a little bit curled up at the bottom. Never, Tom, never do you want to do this. This is called J-rooting, where the tips of the roots are facing the sky like the leader of the tree. That will ultimately kill the tree, okay? The roots will grow into the tree and girdle around the trunk. Ultimately, it'll suffocate itself.
So let me ask you, a lot of people are probably planting ornamental items around their home here in the springtime.
Correct, yeah.
That holds true for them too, right?
Anything you plant, anything, whether it be a rose bush, or a Christmas tree, or a Douglas fir, or a nice sugar maple, or whatever you decide.
Okay.
So I made the hole just a little bit deeper to adjust for the length of these roots. You can see there's ample space there. The roots are not too tight together. They're kind of falling naturally within the hole. Okay. With one hand, I hold the tree at that proper depth level. I align it with the soil line, okay? And then I kind of, where my shovel compacted, I kind of fill in the bottom of the hole. Though it's important to have uncompacted soil so that there is some air and room for water flow, you don't want any major gaps. You don't want any holes within the root system. The roots should be totally covered with soil. So taking care to not bring organic matter into the hole and have it only be soil, no rocks, I start filling. Now, if you recall, the other thing we want to make sure is that the tree is straight. So I'm holding it straight. The leader, the apical meristem, the bud that will keep this tree growing straight and up should be facing the sky, pointing to the sky. So this looks straight to me, which is good, but it's still very loose. So what I then do, create a fist in around the base of the tree. Just put pressure down to tighten it up a bit. It looks like I still need a little bit more soil. I dug a bigger hole than needed. Let me brush this stuff off. Just add some soil, and now I can use my feet to press it in. Being careful not to scratch the bark, not to peel anything off. I add my foot for some added compaction. And then, what do? I rescatter those needles around to maintain soil moisture.
Right.
Behold.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Now only a few more hundred to do.
Yes.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you, Tom.